You are listening to Personalization Outbreak, a podcast about the collapse of traditional corporate standards in today's more personalized world. I'm Glenn Llopis. I'm a leadership strategist, author, contributor to Forbes, and founder of the Leadership in the Age of Personalization movement. On this show, I'm interviewing executives across multiple sectors to find out how the balance between standardization and personalization can exist. Welcome to the Earning Conviction series, part of the Personalization Outbreak podcast. I'm Glenn Llopis. This series exists for one reason: to be the practice that redirects leaders from exhausted to unshakable, not through more information, not through another strategy, through the daily deliberate work of earning conviction, the foundational capability that makes everything else sustainable. Now, before we get started, please click the like button below, share it with your colleagues, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and social media at Glenn Llopis. I want to name something today that most leadership conversations refuse to name. Not because it's controversial, because it's uncomfortable. And it implicates almost everyone who has built a successful leadership career, including me. You're presenting in a meeting. The preparation was thorough, the delivery confident. And somewhere underneath the working surface is a quiet dissonance. The confidence you're projecting is real, but it's confidence in the output, not in your judgment about what it means. You see, if someone pushed back hard right now, could you defend the analysis? You're less certain you can defend the judgment. Now, if that's describing something that's familiar to you, this episode is for you. A significant portion of professional life involves the performance of competence rather than the embodiment of it. Not because professionals are frauds, that's not the point here. Because the systems they've operated in rewarded the performance in ways indistinguishable from the real thing. This is a diagnosis offered because the treatment is available. Let me tell you about the payroll moment. Boy, this one really hits hard. It happened early in my company's life. There was a period when I was genuinely terrified. We couldn't make payroll. And I was sitting in leadership meetings, projecting confidence, saying, "We're fine, stay focused." A partner pulled me aside and said, "We know things are bad. Your confidence act isn't helping. We need to know what's real so that we can help." Now, the next meeting, I told the truth and I said, "I'm worried. I don't know if our strategies will work fast enough. I need your help." We built a recovery plan together, far better than anything I could have developed alone. My performed confidence had created distance that prevented real problem solving. And here's the part that took me years to understand. The performance wasn't protecting them from my uncertainty. It was protecting me from the vulnerability of admitting that I needed help. See, that's what the performance trap really is. Not a leadership strategy, it becomes a self-protection mechanism dressed up as a professional strength. Now, in my book, Earning Conviction, I describe a practice I call the Embarrassment Audit. Now, once a quarter, I deliberately look for things I should be embarrassed about. A decision that I made that isn't working, systems I designed that people are working around, initiatives I championed that failed, promises I made that I haven't kept. Now, the first time I did this, I found so many failures, I almost stopped. It was genuinely uncomfortable to catalog all the ways my leadership had fallen short. But here is what I discovered. Once I acknowledge these failures, I can fix them. The things I was avoiding seeing were the exact things preventing my teams from being more effective. A hospital administrator I worked with ran her first embarrassment audit and identified a policy she'd implemented 3 years earlier. Her intention had been quality control. She required all patient complaint letters to be routed through her office before responses were sent. What she discovered was that her office had become a bottleneck. Response times had stretched from 3 days to sometimes 6 weeks. Nobody had told her about the problems because the policy was hers, and the culture made it difficult to push back. Now, when she saw the data, she was genuinely embarrassed. She eliminated the requirement immediately. Response times dropped to 4 days. Patient satisfaction scores in that category improved 31% within a quarter. The policy had felt like leadership. The audit revealed it had been an obstacle. The discomfort of seeing your failure is temporary. The cost of not seeing them is permanent. See, here's the distinction that changes everything. Confidence is situational. See, it arises when things go well and falls when they don't. Confidence depends on conditions. Now, conviction is different. See, conviction is confirmed not through success, but through holding a position under real pressure and discovering that it holds. Through the moment when you say the true thing in the room where the managed version would be easier and the room shifts. See, confidence says, I got this. Conviction says, I know who I am. And I'm not going to disappear just because the moment is difficult. You cannot borrow conviction from a tool or performance review or a title. It is produced by the daily deliberate practice of leading from who you actually are rather than from who the system trained you to perform. I've got 3 questions that I'd like for you to sit with. First, think about the last time you projected confidence that you didn't fully feel. What were you afraid would happen if you told the truth? What were you afraid of if you would have told the truth? Second, is there a conversation you've been postponing with a team, your organization, a direct report, because having it would require admitting something you've been managing around? Third, what would you do differently in your leadership right now if you were certain that admitting uncertainty would increase, not decrease, the trust people have in you? Because in my experience, it almost always does. The armor was rational. In the environments where you built it, performed confidence was rewarded. Uncertainty was penalized. But here's what's shifting. The environments you're leading in now, complex, uncertain, rapidly evolving, need something different from you. They need the honesty that creates real problem solving, the vulnerability that gives teams permission to be honest, the conviction that comes from actually being present, not performing presence. In a room full of performance, genuine groundedness is unmistakable. And it is the one thing the machine cannot generate on your behalf. One meeting this week, one conversation. Bring the true version instead of the managed version. One sentence that is genuinely what you think rather than the calculated version of what you think will land well. The room doesn't collapse when you show up as yourself. Most of the time, the room relaxes. This is what moving from performance to embodiment looks like. Not a transformation, one honest act. Now, I want to give you a specific practice for building conviction in your decision making, not borrowing confidence from tools from the last success or from the approval of the room. The practice is called the conviction record. Once a week, 15 minutes, you write down one decision you made where you led from genuine conviction, not where everything went perfectly, not where everyone agreed, where you held your own perspective under some form of pressure and held it from genuine belief rather than stubbornness. Write what you believed. Write what the pressure was. Write what you chose. Write what happened. See, over time, This record does something that nothing else can do. It gives you your own evidence, not someone else's assessment of you, not a 360 review or a performance rating. Your own record in your own words of the times when you led from conviction and discovered that it actually holds. You see, that record becomes the foundation from which real confidence grows. Not borrowed confidence, earned confidence, the kind that doesn't collapse when the last outcome was poor. Because it wasn't built on outcomes, it was built on your own record of choosing conviction over performance. Now, here's what I want you to take away from this conversation. Confidence is borrowed from tools, approval, and conditions. Conviction is earned through living and leading as who you actually are. One honest act is the difference between the two. The path from exhausted to unshakable isn't found all at once. It's earned through practice, one redirect at a time. Now, if this message landed for you today, my book, Earning Conviction, goes much deeper into every practice we're exploring in this series. It's available where books are sold. Keep going. Keep going. I'm Glenn Llopis. This is the Earning Conviction series. And remember, when you earn conviction, you will see things that others don't, do what others won't, and keep pushing when prudence says quit. Thanks for listening to Personalization Outbreak. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a show. If you enjoyed the content, visit ageofpersonalization.com to check out our free streaming video series and learn how to get involved in the movement. I'm Glenn Llopis. I wish you a good day, and remember, without strategy, change is merely substitution, not evolution.